Hello, welcome back. This video is going to be on the File tab. Um, I will also, but before I begin on the File tab, I'd like to go over the bottom toolbar here that you see. There's a couple of things. It gives you a little bit of information. This right here is going to tell you the different pages that you're on. So you have pages 1 of 3, so you know it's a 3-page document and you're on page 1. How many words are in the document or the selected, like the highlighted area. And it's also going to tell you if a proofing error was found. So in other words, is there like a spelling mistake or grammar mistake? If this little symbol appears, it means there is one. If you click on it, it will take you to that word or phrase, automatically bring up the right click menu, and you will have the option of you can ignore the mistake. You can ignore all mistakes that are the same as this one. You can add the word to the dictionary because maybe their dictionary is out of date, or maybe it's a word that you use for your company or program that isn't necessarily in the dictionary, but it's kind of like a professional term that's used in your professional community or something along those lines. Or perhaps you're a writer and um, this is actually a word that you're using in a book. Let's say you're writing Harry Potter and you're using one of the magician words in Harry Potter. Instead of every time you write one of the magic spells down in your book having the red lines pop up, you can just add it to your dictionary, and anytime you use those words, uh, it will no longer be identified as a spelling error. Um, if you click on the spelling, it will typically, if it can think of a suggestion, it will give you suggestions down here, and you can click to change the specific highlighted word to that suggestion. Uh, you can also click change all if there are multiple mistakes of that. Like a lot of times people, instead of writing the as THE, they'll write TEH on accident because they're typing too fast. And that may have happened multiple times throughout your document, so you can just click change all and all the TEHs will turn to thes, like THEs. A lot of times too, like if I go to spell the wrong, it'll automatically correct it. There's also, let's say we were gonna write dictionary again, like it's got a pretty sophisticated autocorrect, but alright, there. So I've misspelt a word, and most of the time it's going to be able to come up with words that it thinks it is, and it's going to give you options to change it to right there at the top. If none of those options work for you, you can click on the spelling button. A lot of times it's usually pretty good about figuring out which word you're trying to spell, and it will appear in this list. But if not, you can go to the spelling button again, like I said, and if the word is not correct, like this is supposed to be dictionary, you can actually come up here and physically change the word to dictionary, and then you can click change, and it will change it to dictionary. Or you could click change all, and anytime it sees that, it will change this to dictionary. So you can manually change it as well, but you have to click on that spelling button. Now, if there's no spelling error, the menu options are different. You can cut, copy, possibly paste. You can change the font, the paragraph style, bullets, and numbering, and you can make it a hyperlink, so you can make it a link to a web page. You can look up synonyms to the word. So synonyms to dictionary, for example, lexicon, vocabulary, glossary, phrase book, word list, thesaurus. So it's got an automatic synonym or thesaurus built in. If it's a word from another language, you can click on translate, and it will try to translate it for you to the best of its ability. So those are all good options to use. Over here on the right side of the toolbar, you have different page views that you can use. So you can do this if you highlight it and hover. It says full screen reading. So if you're like reading something, proofreading something, you can click that button and it makes it really big, so it's easier to read and edit. And you just hit escape and it will bring you out of that mode. So I got in that mode, I hit the escape button on the top left of my keyboard, and it takes me out. You can choose outline mode, which I don't think many people that are taking this class will probably use for. I've never seen anyone use it. And then there's draft mode, which is pretty standard, typical mode. Print layout mode allows you to see the whole page that's going to be printed. I like to use draft mode myself, where it expands the page to fit the screen, because it makes everything bigger and easier to type and edit and all that stuff, and all your toolbars are still here. The difference between draft mode and full screen reading mode is the toolbars and everything are, they go away. Also, in full screen reading mode, you have the option to insert comments and highlight text. So let's say you're reading a textbook or you're editing a paper for someone. These options are really useful. Those are things we'll go over in a different video though. Also, if you don't have access to a keyboard for whatever reason, there is a close button up here in the top right corner. I prefer to use the escape button myself. And then last but not least, in the bottom right corner, we have this, which allows you to zoom in and out of your document, so you can get as close and as far as you want from it. So all useful functions there, but what we really want to get into now is the File tab. File tab is pretty standard. It's not a whole lot different from the other file option, the file menu from previous versions. It's got all pretty much the same options, but I think they might be a little bit more accessible, a little bit easier to understand, because like I've talked about before, there are those descriptions now that they have not really had before. They're better descriptions, and there's also pictures now that clue you into what something is. Like, they're better pictures than they were before, and we'll talk about all that. But we'll start from the top and we'll go slowly down to the bottom. So we'll start with the save button. Most of us know what this button is, but if you don't, it is the button you click to save your document. Now, if you have never saved your document before, when you click the save button, it will pop up with this screen, which is going to ask you to save your document in a certain place on your computer. I like to do the majority of my saving right onto my desktop, and I have folders on my desktop. A lot of times I will, if I'm doing something on my computer in Word, when I save it, I actually save it into a folder called Google Drive. That's something else I can talk about in this class if you guys would like. I actually find Google Drive to be more useful than the Microsoft Office programs personally for my uses, and I will give you guys the option to learn about Word and Excel, or you can learn about all the options Google Drive has to offer, and I'll discuss the pros and cons of those with you. At this point though, you probably would have already made up your mind on that if you're watching this video. So I save all my stuff into my Google Drive folder, which is nice and organized. So I'll save everything to the desktop, or I'll click on my Google Drive folder and find where I want to store it, what folder I want to save this in. Sometimes I'll just store it onto my desktop if I feel like I'm going to be coming back to it shortly and I want quick access to it. So if you click on desktop, and as long as you have your desktop organized with lots of files, with lots of folders to put your files in, then your desktop typically doesn't get very cluttered, and it's a really great place to save all your documents. The other common place for saving documents is in the Documents section. Kind of self-explanatory. It's a folder that's made for saving documents, which is great. And again, in this folder, you can always create new folders. You just hit the new folder button. If you want this in a specific folder, let's say you just started a new class, you're taking a college course or an adult education course, and you're on your own computer or you're on even the school computers, and you want a file for you. You know, doesn't matter what folder you're in, whether it's a document folder, the desktop, Google Drive folder, you can always create a new folder in that space on the computer, and then name it whatever you want. And then just click outside the folder or hit enter, and the folder will now appear as your own. So if I want to save this document in this folder, I'll double click the folder. I'm now inside my folder. I will change the name of my file to file test. And then there's this little drop down menu. You can choose what file type you would like to save your document as. The probably most useful ones to the majority of people are saving as Microsoft Word 97 to 2003. Let's say you're going to be working off of an old computer or an older version of Word, then you may want to save it in this format. This format is more widely accepted on computers than the Word 2010 format, because for many years everything was saved as a .doc file, DOC file. Now they're saved, if you use Microsoft 2010, a lot of them are saved as docx files. So you may have better luck saving it as a 97 2003 edition, but that's up to you. Templates can be useful, but they're not necessary, not something I'm really, I feel compelled to go into. Most people don't use them. The other option we have here is a PDF, which is very useful. PDFs are universally acceptable on Macs, PCs, laptops, Windows 7, XP. Basically any computer can open a PDF. A lot of phones can open PDFs, and even a lot of iPads and everything. So if you want to save your file in a format that's basically guaranteed to not have any issues opening it, being opened, PDF is the way to go. The thing about a PDF you want to remember though is when you save a file as a PDF on through Word, that PDF is not editable. So we typically make sure that when we go to save something as a PDF, that it is the final copy, and we don't want it to be edited. If you're building a web page, my guess is you're probably not taking this class, because you probably are you're probably already familiar with how this program works. But if you are building a web page, you do have the option of saving the file that you're manipulating as a web page. You can also save it as what's known as an RTF file, or rich text format, right here. Plain text is something that'll open up in a program called Notebook. A lot of PCs have that. And then of course as an open document. A lot of people have switched over to using either Google Drive, or they use things like OpenOffice or NeoOffice, because all of those options are free. You don't have to pay for them like you do Microsoft Office. So that's really all there is for the most part. You can choose to save a thumbnail if you want, so it will take like a quick picture of the file. So it might take a picture of the first page, so that when you go to, when it saves the file, instead of having this as your icon right here, the basic page with the word icon, it'll actually have a picture of your document. For some people that's good, because then they can actually just look at the pictures of their files and they'll know which one they want. They don't have to read all of the different titles that are written beneath them. So sometimes that can come in handy. So that's what the save button does. The save as button is very similar, but has a slightly different purpose. The save as button is if you've already saved your document, okay, and you've decided that you want to make some changes to it, but or you want to test something with a document, basically you want a second copy of the document that's going to be slightly different. Like for example, one thing I do is when I'm making a resume, and you have to make a cover letter, and you're applying to 5 different jobs. Um, I've got like a generic cover letter that covers all the bases that I want to cover, says all the stuff I want to say that I'm going to say in any cover letter I write. But what I don't have are like in the cover letter are the specific names of the company, the research I've done on the company to let them know, that I do know about them and I am really interested in this position. It's kind of a hook for them. So I don't have the specific details that those companies may be looking for. So I've got the generic stuff, and I'll save that document. I'll then open that document. I'll edit it with a paragraph or two of specific information they're looking for and personal information about them so that I'm letting them know that I'm interested. I'll edit it with all that information and update that generic cover letter. And then I'll click the Save As button. And instead of save, the save, this menu will still appear. So let me save this real quick. Desktop, save. Okay, so when I go to click the Save As button, okay, the same menu will appear to save it. But what I'm doing is I'm saving a second copy of it. So all those changes I've just made to my resume to personalize it to that company that I'm applying to, those changes are now going to take effect in the document, but I'm saving a new copy of the document with those changes. So, for example, let's say this is my generic resume and I want to personalize it. So here's my personalized paragraph. Now, I have not saved what I just wrote into this generic cover letter. So when I'm going to click Save As, because I don't want to save this. I want my generic cover letter to stay the same. I want to stay generic. So I'm going to click Save As, and now I'm going to write personalized cover letter. I'm going to save it. And so now you'll see personalized cover letter has appeared. And now I'm going to exit out of the document. Okay, and so when I open up personalized cover letter, here it is. Here's my generic cover letter with a personalized paragraph. And then open up the generic cover letter right here, the original. Okay, that one's still there. And there's the generic one, but without the personalized paragraph. So now now that I've opened up my generic one, I can go on and I can apply to my second job now. And I'm going to make a personalized paragraph for the second job. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to click Save As. I'm going to have personalized cover letter number 2. Okay, saving it. Here it is. It appears. Okay, so now I've got I'm kind of using this generic cover letter as my template, and I keep going back to it, editing it, and I click Save As, and I get my cover letter for job 1, cover letter for job 2, and of course I still have my original intact. So anytime I want to apply to a job, I open up the original, I edit the original, I click File, Save As, and I save it as a separate file. So my original template stays intact, but I also have a copy of the new cover letter for the new job. So that's really, really useful. I love that option, and that's been around for years and years and years. But it's definitely making templates for things like that comes in so much handy. You also have the option to save as Adobe PDF. Very, very nice. Now, we talked about before when you click on the Save button how you can change the document to a PDF from here. You don't have to go through that hassle to save it as a PDF. The reason why they have Save as PDF is because it is such a commonly used function. It warranted its own separate button, Save button, because it's just commonplace now in any professional workplace environment or in any school, when you send something to someone, you send it as a PDF, because that person can then no longer edit your work, and that file can be emailed and opened on any electronic device pretty much. Very useful. I also will have videos as well showing you how to make an editable PDF. So a PDF with like form fields that you can click on and manipulate, and you can add stuff to. And we'll talk more about that in class. And if you're interested in that, I can show that video to you as well. There's a free way to do it online through a website, which is awesome. But if you click on Save as PDF, the same exact idea, the same thing comes up. You click where you want to save it. Like I said, I always go to the desktop. So we'll call this cover letter PDF. And this is, again, just like with the save as function, it's going to create a second version of the file, and that second version will be a PDF. So you can title your PDF. It's automatically going to save type as PDF file. You click save. So now it's taking the time to convert my file to a PDF, which can take a little bit, and it's automatically going to pop that PDF right up for you. It's going to open it up so you can view it to make sure everything translated okay. So there's my PDF, and of course that PDF is also saved right here onto my desktop. I can now email this to anyone. Nobody can edit it. As you can see, like, I can highlight things, but when I go to type on my keyboard, okay, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. So people can't mess with your document. Alright, back to the File tab here. The other two options that we have available to us up top are the Open button. Okay, so we can open files. Something that isn't used too commonly anymore, because really the best thing to do is, I can just double click on the file and open it, as long as I have that ready. If your file, for example, is in like a folder somewhere, so I would just get to the folder that I'm going to be opening files out of, keep that folder open like this. Anytime I want to open something, okay, I can just double click it, and then if I'm manipulating something like this Word document, I can have that folder in the background, and here I am typing. Okay, decide I want to open that other file, I'll go to my resume, I'll open it up, I'll do what I need to do here. So that's a quicker way than clicking the File Open button, but everybody has their own preferences. If you want to use it, use it. Then you can also click the Close button. Okay. If you haven't saved your document recently, if you've made changes to it, because I just wrote all that jargon there, you can choose to save it, and it will update the file and have that stuff saved in it. You can choose not to save it, or you can cancel out the option of closing, but I'm going to choose Do Not Save. And what that did is it just closed the file I was working on, so I can now go to File, Open, and choose a document to open up in its place in the same windows. I don't need to open up a second window to open up a second document. When I'm done with one document and I've saved it, I can just hit Close, and then I can open up a second document in the same window. I don't have to have multiple windows opened up. So sometimes that can be useful for people. Another great option here, we're going to talk about the Info button, the New button, the Print button, Save, Send, and Help. Those are all going to be in a different video. The last thing I want to talk about in this video, though, is the Recent button, because this goes right along with the Close, Open theme that we just talked about. Recent is going to show you a list of every document that you've opened recently. So in order, from the last one opened to the most recent one. So up top, that's the most recent document I opened, and down bottom is the last one that I opened. Now, I do not know for sure how many documents will appear in this list. I have limited experience with Word 2010 as compared to Google Documents, for example. So I haven't really opened a whole lot of files with Word 2010. So this list, I know, will probably get at least 10 files, if not more than that. It looks like it might actually go on for more than 10. And it looks like down here we have a button, and you can alter how many documents you can access actually. So it looks like we can alter it pretty high. So you can look up to, looks like 25 is the max. You can recover unsaved documents. That's always an option under the recent menu too. So if your computer crashed while you were working on a document and you didn't have time to save it, there's always the chance that the autosave function happened to save a temporary version of what you did. And if you click on recover unsaved documents, it may be able to find the document that you thought you just lost and recover it and save you a lot of time. And the other thing that it does in the recent tab is we got recent places. So these are where you opened these files from. So these are the folders that contain the files that have been recently opened. So if you would, this is also a new option in the recent documents, is this little pin here. If you find a document in here that you know you're going to be using a ton for the next couple days, couple months, couple weeks, you can pin it by clicking the pin next to it, and every time you click on recent, that document will be right there at the top, pinned. If you're, let's say you know you're going to be using this document for the next 2 months, you can pin it here. You'll always have quick access to opening it right here, so you don't actually have to have this folder in the background like I usually do. You can just pin the document you want that you know you're going to be using, and then every time you open up Word, just go to File, Recent, and all the documents you want to open up and that you use on a regular basis are right there. Now, just a quick plug for Google Docs or Google Drive here. We talked about this recover unsaved documents option, which is for when your computer crashes before you've had time to save it. This is where Google Documents starts to separate itself a little bit from Word, because Google Documents is online. Now, one of the downsides to writing everything in Google Docs or Google Drive is you have to have an internet connection to use it. However, Google Drive and Google Docs say every single keystroke you make in a document, it will save, and so even if your computer crashes, you lose nothing. So you never, ever, ever have to worry about losing anything that you say that you've typed or done or manipulated. So that option's pretty neat. However, as I pointed out, Google Docs needs to be used with an internet connection, and if you don't have one, or you may be working on whatever it is you're working on, your essay or whatever, without the internet at some point. Like when I go over to my parents' house, they don't have internet, for example. So if I were to take my laptop over to my parents' house, I would want to use Microsoft Word for whatever it is I'm doing. So that is really all I've got for this video. The next video, like I said, we'll go over the Info tab, the New tab, the Print tab, Save and Send, and the Help tab, and along with this Options and Exit button. And actually I can go over the Exit button real quick. It's just the same thing as this X. It will exit Word. So that is it. Thank you for watching. In the next video, like I said, we'll finish up the File tab.